was always inspired to go into the pediatrics profession, but I wasn't really introduced into pediatric psychology until I joined a lab in my third year of my undergraduate training. And so I joined a pediatric psychology lab and I fell in love. I fell in love with the children, with the families, with the two professions of psychology and pediatrics coming together, and I knew that this is what I wanted to do ever since.
What inspired me to become a pediatric psychologist was the resiliency of the patients and the families going through cancer. I realized I enjoy working with them and having an opportunity to serve them in a very difficult time.
I think I was inspired by a love of working with children way before I knew that there was a field of pediatric psychology. And then when I realized that I could work with kids and also be like integrated as part of the healthcare team, that basically sold it for me.
I am privileged every day to work with a population of adolescents and young adults with sickle cell disease. And sickle cell disease is a red cell genetic blood disorder that affects primarily African American and Latino adolescents in the U.S. These adolescents and young adults have to deal with pain, they have to deal with sometimes chronic blood transfusions, daily medications, and other procedures that are pretty disruptive to their lives.
Right now as a trainee, I have the opportunity to work with a number of different populations with regard to race and ethnicity and socioeconomic status. My geographic location allows me the opportunity to work with this diverse group of individuals and families. Also, I have opportunities to work with a number of different age groups. I work with preschoolers with disruptive behavior who also are experiencing pediatric illness. I also work with teens and youth with type 1 and type 2 diabetes, youth who've experienced physical trauma like gunshot wounds or motor vehicle accidents. I've also been able to work in a primary care setting. So I have a host of opportunities to work with a number of different pediatric populations.
For parents, we help them support them so they can support their children. For teenagers, we also provide sense of normalization and opportunities to connect with other teens that are going through a similar experience or went through a similar experience. And teens really like that because they feel they have somebody that gets them.
What I'm trying to do is really come up with new ways that physicians and patients and parents can talk together about their treatment decisions so that each feels an equal partner in that decision and there's not that regret afterwards.
I like to think that I have an impact if I can identify some problematic condition early because a child came into the primary care setting. I like to think that I can impact the life of a child or a family if I can reduce the number of times a child is being suspended due to like an attention deficit or a behavior disorder. I like to think I impact the life of a family if I could help a child who is anxious and school avoidant like get back into school before they develop like terrible avoidance habits. There are lots of aspects to my job that give me the opportunity to like directly impact like the functioning and the satisfaction level of the families and children that I work with.
One of the most exciting things about pediatric psychology is that you get to do a little bit of everything. You know, if you like to work with students and teach, you can do that. If you like to do clinical work and work with families and children directly, you can do that. And if you're interested in research that can make an impact all over the country, all over the world, you can publish. If you like writing, there's so many different parts to my job, so I wear so many different hats. So I think if students really, if that inspires them and they like the idea of being able to do a lot of different things with their degree, then this type of training is really beneficial for that. I'd love for students to know, one, how flexible the pediatric psychology field is. So there are many different avenues that they can pursue, whether it was clinical or whether it was research or whether it was advocacy. I also want students to know that it's an interdisciplinary profession, and so they can really interact with physicians, with nurses, with social workers, and so it really provides this unique opportunity to be within a medical center, interacting with other professions, and really trying to help youth cope better.
I got involved with SVP as a student because during my practicum where I first learned about pediatric psychology, I was working at the Children's Hospital or at my graduate institution, and my supervisors and mentors there told me about this conference that was the Society for Pediatric Psychology National Conference, and it was a great place to go and learn about all the new things in the field and meet people, and so that was my first year coming, and I've loved it ever since. So that's how I got involved as a student.